All right, good morning, everybody. Hope you guys are doing well. I'm going to go over the page 387, 8 through 34 even, and then 37 through 57 odd. So let's get started. For number 8 and number 10, the directions are rewrite the logarithm as a ratio of a common log and then a natural log. So these are exactly the same as the last problems I had you do. So let's start out with common log. Common log is going to get rewritten as log of x divided by log of 1/5. And that was number 8. Okay. Number 10. That was part A. Part B is you have to write natural log of x over natural log of 1/5. Number 10 is the log of x divided by log of 2.6. Part B would be natural log of x over natural log of 2.6. Moving on to number 12, 12 and 14, the directions are evaluate the logarithm using the change of base formula, round your result to 3 decimal places. So the change of base formula is going to allow us to type it into our calculator as log of 4 divided by log of 1/2. Now, when we do that, you'll have to bear with me for 1 second. I need to type that in. Log of 4 divided by log of 1/2, you get -2. Number 14 is same thing. Evaluate the logarithm, use the change of base formula. So we would have log of 0.015 divided by log of 3. And when I type that in, log of 0.015 divided by log of 3, we get -3.823. I believe it said round to the nearest third decimal place. Yeah. Okay. So let's keep moving on. Number 16, number 18, and number 20 ask you to use the properties of logarithms to rewrite and simplify the logarithmic expression. So number 16, we're starting with log base 2 of 4 to the second times 3 to the fourth. First thing we're going to do is we're going to use the product property to split it up. So we have log base 2 of 4 squared plus log base 2 of 3 to the fourth. The power property, we're going to bring the power in front of the log. So we have this log base 2 of 3. This is going to be the one we want to take a look at. You can see it's log base 2 of 4. 4 can be rewritten as 2 squared. The reason why we want to do that is now we have a base that matches the base of the log. So that will allow us to cancel that out. This 2 here is going to go down front and multiply that 2, and we're going to end up with 4 log base 2 of 2 plus 4 log base 2 of 3. Log base 2 of 2 turns into 1, so we're just left with this 4 right here. So it's going to be 4 plus 4 log base 2 of 3. And that's as far as you can go. You cannot add these two 4's together because you would actually need to do the log base 2 of 3 first and then multiply that by 4 and then add the 4 to it. So because logs are members of the exponent family. So that was number 16. That one was a little bit involved. So let's look at number 18. Number 18 is log, and it's just base 10, so we don't need to write anything, 9 over 300. Now 9 over 300, that's a quotient, so we can break this up as log of 9 minus log of 300. The next thing we're going to do with that, since this is log base 10, you always want to be thinking about powers of 10. Are there any powers of 10 buried in 9, or are there any powers of 10 buried in 300? There are no powers of 10 buried in 9, So this is just going to be log of 9. But the way we're going to do this, actually, I'm going to back that up for a second. We're going to change this a little bit. This is going to be 3 squared. And this is going to turn into log of 3 times 100. Now, I'm going to rewrite this so it's log of 2 log 3 minus log of 3 plus log of 10 squared. Now, you'll see why I did this in a second. So we have 2 log of 3 minus log of 3. And then it's actually going to be minus 2 log of 10. So I distributed this negative. Let me highlight it here. I distributed this negative to this and to that. That's how we got the negative log 3 and the negative 2 log 10. Now, where did the 2 came from? The 2 came from bringing the power, this power right here, down and in front of this log, because that we're allowed to do that via the power property. So it still looks a little bit convoluted, but let's look right here. We have log base 10 of 10, so that cancels out. That turns into 1. And now what we have right here is we have 2 log 3 minus 1 log 3. And what that becomes is 1 log 3, then minus 2, because this minus 2 right here didn't go away. So 2 log 3 minus 1 log 3 turns into 1 log 3, and then minus 2 comes down. So there's your final answer. That was a tricky one too. All right, number 20. So for number 20, it's the same as the last ones. You have natural log of 6 over e to the second. That can be broken up using the quotient property. Then we're going to use the power property to bring the 2 down. And then you can see we have natural log of e, which is the same as log with the bases matching what's being logged. So this cancels out, turns into 1, and we're just left with natural log of 6 minus 2. You cannot subtract those two because the natural log is a member of the exponent family, and that would actually need to be done first. And you can't, so that problem is done. Now, for 22 through 34, which is the first set of numbers, those all wanted you to find the exact value of the logarithmic expression without using a calculator. So this is where you need to use your log properties to try to break it down into something that you can figure out on your own. So the first one is log base 5 of 1 over 125. First thing to notice, as I said before, you always want to try to be thinking of powers of 5. And you can see we have 125 right here. So what's going to happen is we're going to make this log base 5 of 125 to the negative 1. Let me try that negative. There we go, to the negative 1. Now 125 is actually 5 to the third. So now that's going to become log base 5 of 5 to the third, all of that to the negative 1 power. Now we have a power to a power, so those multiply. So we have log base 5 of 5 to the negative third. And now we can use the power property to bring that negative 3 in front of the log. And we're left with log base 5 of 5. Anytime the base of the log matches the number that's being logged, you can cancel that all out. And our final answer is negative 3. Number 24 is log base 6 of the cube root of 6. So I've said this before, and I'll repeat it. Anytime you have a square root, cube root, fourth root, whatever, you need to rewrite it as a power. So it turns into the 1/3 power. You are then allowed to bring that 1/3 down via the power property, and now you have log base 6 of 6, which cancels. So you're just left with 1/3. 26 is log base 3 of 81 to the negative third. Power property allows us to bring that down. I'm also going to rewrite 81. You're always trying to think of the number that's being logged and trying to see if you can rewrite it as a power of the base. In this case, 81 is actually 3 to the 4th power. 3 times 3 is 9, times 3 is 27, times 3 is 81. So we're going to rewrite this as 3 to the 4th. Now using the power property again, this 4 right here is going to come down and multiply that negative 3. So that's going to become negative 12 log base 3 of 3. This cancels and you're left with negative 12. 28 is log base 3 of negative 27. That can be rewritten as negative 3 to the 3rd. And now the power property, actually, we can't do that yet. We need to break this up first. Let me back up once. I don't like how I did that. Here's what we need to do here. Whoops. Let me see if I can, didn't mean to erase that. Log base 3 of negative 27 like this. So we're going to have log base 3 of negative 1 times 27, which then we can split into log base 3 of negative 1 plus log base 3 of 27. There we go. Now, anytime you look at this, and we could have actually seen this earlier, but this right here would actually simplify. But here's where the problem lies. This number right here, this negative number, you cannot log negative numbers. So actually, back up here, we could have said there is no solution. If you try typing in your calculator log of negative 27, you will get an error. So there's no solution, and it's because negative numbers cannot be logged. They are not in the domain. And that is an option in the directions. Okay, moving on to number 30. Number 30 asks you to do 3 times natural log of e to the 4th. Power property, we're going to bring that 4 down. It's going to become a 12 natural log of e. Natural log of e cancels, and you're left with 12. That was a pretty easy one. Number 32, you have natural log of the 4th root of e to the 3rd. First thing to do is rewrite the 4th root as a power. And then we're going to multiply those powers. So we have natural log of e to the 3/4. Then we're going to bring the power down via the power property. You can see we have natural log of e, which cancels, and you're left with 3/4. Number 34 is 2 natural log of e to the 6th minus natural log of e to the 5th. Once again, we have exponents. They're going to be brought down in front of the natural log. The 6 is going to come down and multiply the 2 and turn it into 12 natural log of e minus 5 natural log of e. The natural logs of e both cancel. You're left with 12 minus 5, which is 7. All right, so that's the 8 through 34 even. Then you had 37 through 57 odd. So looking at number 37, number 37 asks you to use the properties of logarithms to expand the expression as a sum, difference, and or constant multiple of logarithms. So this is really just using the properties for the property's sake. It's not really simplifying anything. So we have natural log of 4x. That can be rewritten as natural log of 4 plus natural log of x. 39. Log base 8 of x to the 4th can be rewritten as 4 log base 8 of x. 41 is log base 5 of 5 over x. That can be rewritten as a quotient. Using the quotient property, we have log base 5 of 5 minus log base 5 of x. Log base 5 of 5 crosses out, it cancels and turns into 1. So we're left with log base 5 of x. So the final answer there is 1 minus log base 5 of x. 43 is natural log of the square root of z. We have a square root, so we need to rewrite that as a power, as a 1/2 power. And then the power property allows us to bring that down and write 1/2 natural log of z. Moving on to number 45. 45 is natural log of x, y, z to the second. Those are products, so all of those can be split using the product property into natural log of x plus natural log of y plus natural log of z to the second. And then the power property can be utilized to bring down the 2 in front of the natural log. So there's our final answer, natural log of x plus natural log of y plus 2 natural log of z. Now 47 is natural log of z times z minus 1 squared. This is also going to utilize the product property. So we're going to have natural log of z plus natural log of z minus 1 squared. And then we're also going to use the power property here into making this natural log of z plus 2 natural log of z minus 1. And there's your final answer for 47. Number 49 is log base 2 of the square root of a minus 1 over 9. This is going to also utilize the quotient property. So we have log base 2 of the square root. And actually, I'm going to back up. I'm not going to leave that as a square root either. I'm going to leave it as the 1/2 power. Now notice, though, the only thing that's the 1/2 power is going to be the a minus 1 because that's the only thing that is being square rooted. So it becomes log base 2 of 9. The 9, I'll show you, the 1/2 is going to come out forward in front of the log like this, and we're going to have a minus 1. And then we have log base 2 of 3 squared, and that's going to allow us to bring the squared down. So we're going to have 1/2 log base 2 of a minus 1 minus 2 log base 2 of 3. So just, again, practicing with the log properties as we work through this. 51 is natural log of the cube root of x over y. Notice the cube root is over everything. So when we bring that, that's going to turn into the 1/3 power. So we have natural log of x over y to the 1/3. Notice the 1/3 is around everything. That's going to come out in front of the natural log via the power property. And then we're going to split that using the quotient property. But when we do that, each natural log gets its own 1/3 because originally each x and y were both being cube rooted. So there's number 51. 53 is the natural log of x squared times the square root of y over z. Let's see if I can make that y a little bit better. And so the first thing we're going to do is split that. We have natural log of x squared plus the natural log of the square root of y over z. I'm going to bring the 2 in front of the natural log x. Then I'm going to bring this power, it's a square root, and it is over both things. So it needs to come, it's a 1/2 power. So we have natural log of y over z to the 1/2 power. That is going to be brought down. So we have 2 natural log of x plus 1/2 natural log of y over z. And then we're going to use the quotient property to split that. But again, as in the last problem, because the y and the z were both under the root, their natural logs both need the 1/2. So it's going to become 1/2 1/2 natural log of y minus 1/2 natural log of z. There's your final answer. Here's 55. 55 asks you, or tells us it's log base 5 of x squared over y squared z to the third. Again, utilizing, we're going to use the quotient property and the power property and the product property to split this up. So we're going to start with the quotient property. We're going to have log base 5 of x squared minus log base 5 of y squared z to the third. We're going to split this up further. We're also going to use the power property. I'm going to do that in kind of one step here. We have 2 log base 5 of x, and then we're going to have minus, and you need to have parentheses around this. It's going to be log base 5 of y squared plus log base 5 of z to the third. From there, I'm going to use the power property to bring down the powers. I'm also going to distribute this negative to everything just so you can see. 2 log base 5 of x minus 2 log base 5 of y minus 3 log base 5 of z. There's your final answer for 55. Last one is 57. And that one is the natural log of the 4th root of x to the third times x squared plus 3. So just more practice here. First thing we're going to do is rewrite the power. We have natural log of x to the third times x squared plus 3. All of that to the 1/4 power. Power property allows us to bring that down. And then we have x cubed times x squared plus 3. Now we're going to utilize the product property, and because both things had the 4th root of them, they both need the 1/4 in front of their natural log. Natural log of x squared plus 3. The last thing to do would be to bring that cube down. So we end up with 3/4 natural log of x plus 1/4 natural log of x squared plus 3. There's your final answer. Okay, guys. Let me know if you have any questions. Have a good day.